What happens when one of America's most respected journalists refuses to let royal privilege silence the truth? You won't believe what unfolds when Prince Harry sits down, expecting softball questions, only to face the most brutal grilling of his media career. The tensions that erupted last night on national television have sent shockwaves through both sides of the Atlantic, culminating in a dramatic walkout that no one saw coming. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because you're not going to believe what unfolds. The atmosphere in Studio 1A was already electric, as the cameras rolled for what was supposed to be a straightforward promotional interview. Prince Harry had arrived to discuss his latest charitable initiatives, but Savannah Guthrie had other plans entirely. From the moment the red recording light flickered on, it was clear this would be anything but business as usual. "Prince Harry, thank you for joining us," Guthrie began with her signature professional smile, though there was something distinctly steely in her eyes. "I want to start with something that's been troubling many Americans. Your recent comments about the First Amendment have raised serious questions about your understanding of the very freedoms that have welcomed you to this country." Harry's posture immediately stiffened, his media-trained smile faltering for just a moment. "Savannah, I think there's been some misunderstanding about what I actually said." "Let me stop you right there," Guthrie interjected, her voice cutting through his response like a blade. "We have the audio. You called the First Amendment bonkers during a podcast interview. Those were your exact words. So help our viewers understand, how can someone who fled their home country, claiming media persecution, then criticize the constitutional right that protects press freedom in America?" The question hung in the air like a thunderclap. Harry's jaw visibly tightened as he shifted uncomfortably in the guest chair, his hands gripping the armrests. "That's a gross oversimplification of both my situation and my comments. The media landscape is complex, and I was speaking about the responsibility that should come with freedom." "Responsibility?" Guthrie's eyebrows shot up incredulously. "This from someone who's made millions selling intimate family secrets to the highest bidder? You've written tell-all books, given explosive interviews, created documentary series, all while demanding privacy. Don't you see the contradiction in lecturing Americans about media responsibility?" The studio fell dead silent except for the hum of cameras. Harry's face flushed red, a vein becoming visible at his temple. "I've never sold secrets. I've shared my truth, my experiences of trauma and family dysfunction that needed to be addressed." "Your truth?" Guthrie's voice rose slightly, her professional composure beginning to crack with barely contained frustration. "Prince Harry, you've accused your own family of racism on global television without providing a shred of evidence. You've painted your stepmother as a villain, depicted your father as emotionally absent, and portrayed your brother as jealous and aggressive, all while they maintain dignified silence. Is that your idea of truth?" Harry leaned forward aggressively, his voice taking on a defensive edge that viewers had never heard before. "You clearly don't understand the dynamics of what I grew up with. The palace machine, the way they operate, the way they throw people under the bus to protect the institution. So everyone else is wrong, and you're the victim?" Guthrie pressed relentlessly, her journalist instincts in full predator mode. "Your grandmother, who you claim to have loved dearly, never threw you under any bus. Your grandfather, a war hero, never betrayed you. Yet somehow, in your narrative, a family that gave you every privilege, every opportunity, every protection, becomes the villain in your story." The tension in the studio was becoming unbearable. Harry's breathing was visibly quickening, his composed royal facade crumbling by the second. "You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what it's like to live in that system, to be trapped." "Trapped?" Guthrie's voice dripped with disbelief. "You were sixth in line to the throne of England. You had everything handed to you: wealth, status, purpose, a platform to make a difference. And when asked to follow the same protocols that every other royal has followed for generations, you chose to abandon your duty and move to California. That's not being trapped. That's being entitled." Harry shot up from his chair, his face now scarlet with rage. "How dare you? You sit there in your comfortable studio judging me, when you have no understanding of what I endured. The constant scrutiny, the lies printed about my wife, the racist undertones. I'm a journalist, Prince Harry. Scrutiny comes with public life, especially when you're funded by taxpayers." Guthrie fired back, remaining seated but leaning forward like a prosecutor closing in on a confession. "And regarding your wife, she was an actress who courted media attention her entire career. She had a blog, she was on red carpets, she gave interviews. The idea that she was somehow unprepared for royal scrutiny is frankly laughable." The words hit Harry like physical blows. His hands were now visibly shaking, his voice rising to near shouting levels. "Don't you dare speak about my wife that way! She was hounded by your colleagues, your industry, driven to the point of considering suicide. By colleagues who were doing their jobs, reporting on a public figure who married into the most famous family in the world." Guthrie shot back without missing a beat. "The same media you now gladly work with when it suits your narrative and your bank account. You can't have it both ways, claiming victim status while simultaneously profiting from that very publicity." Harry began pacing behind his chair, his royal composure completely evaporated. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. This attitude, this assumption that we owe everyone everything, that we're not entitled to basic human dignity." "Basic human dignity?" Guthrie's voice reached a crescendo of incredulity. "You've written best-selling books. You've signed multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify. You live in a mansion in Montecito. Meanwhile, your family, who you've publicly humiliated, continues their service without complaint. Where exactly is the lack of dignity in your situation?" The breaking point had arrived. Harry's voice cracked with fury as he pointed an accusatory finger directly at Guthrie. "This interview is over. I won't sit here and be ambushed by someone who clearly has an agenda. You've twisted every word, every situation. I've asked legitimate questions that millions of people want answered." Guthrie replied coolly, her professional demeanor intact even as chaos erupted around her. "If that feels like an ambush, maybe the problem isn't with the questions." Harry was already reaching for his microphone, ripping it from his jacket with such force that the wire snapped. "This is exactly the kind of tabloid journalism that destroyed my mother's life. I won't be part of it." His voice echoed through the studio as he stormed toward the exit, his security detail scrambling to follow. "Prince Harry, we still have 12 minutes left in the segment," Guthrie called after him, her voice carrying a note of professional disappointment mixed with barely concealed satisfaction. But Harry was already gone, the studio doors slamming behind him with a resounding crash that seemed to punctuate the end of not just the interview, but perhaps his entire media rehabilitation tour. The cameras continued rolling, capturing Guthrie's composed expression as she turned back to face the audience, the empty guest chair beside her speaking volumes about what had just transpired. The most explosive royal media meltdown in recent history had just unfolded live on national television, leaving viewers stunned, and Savannah Guthrie sitting victorious in the wreckage of Prince Harry's carefully constructed public image.